Hey, it's Janice from Ribeye Love, Confident Carnivore, and 2.5 Asians. It's Easter Sunday 2021, and I'm here in my kitchen, and I'm about to record my first video ever about what I eat in a week. My little carnivore sister, Bella, Steak and Butter Gal, encouraged me to record this video, and it's going to be pretty easy because I eat ribeye every day, all day, and that's all I eat in a week. So I just pulled my ribeye out of the fridge. Looks like this in saran wrap. It's a Costco prime ribeye cut, and I buy the entire roast and then we cut it ourselves to get this really nice steak at your own desired thickness. And so this just happens to be a piece from this week's ribeye roast, and I'm gonna go ahead and cook it up. I should say that for a while there I was cooking my ribeyes in that air fryer that you see right there. That's the Ninja 4-quart air fryer, and I was doing it just for ease and convenience during the work week, but then I realized that was a waste of a perfectly good ribeye because it doesn't really get as nice of a sear, and it really doesn't taste as good cooked in the air fryer as it does cooked in the pan. So here you can see my really simple kitchen setup. I got a gas stove. I live in a mobile home and I live a really simple life, so let's go ahead and get started with the cooking. So this is my blue carbon steel pan. It's made by Made in Cookware, and you can see I am very lazy, so I just leave that grease, that beef fat that cooked off from the last ribeye I made. Don't necessarily want quite that much fat in my cooking because I don't want the beef to burn when I do the sear, so I'm just going to go ahead and scrape some of this rendered fat from my last ribeye off. And I'm just going to dump that in the jar. Now I'm heating up the pan, and it is on almost high heat with that flame. I'm going to give it a minute here until it's smoking hot. I'm going to test the pan out with my hand. I can feel that heat's already starting to radiate there, but it's not quite hot enough yet. Seems like the pan is hot enough now. I'm starting to see a little smoke coming off of it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my ribeye with these tongs. Now I've got the ribeye in hand with the tongs, and I'm just going to plunk her down. Hear that nice sizzle, the pan's going good, the blue carbon is really giving a nice sear. And I'm going to turn on the timer. I'm going to do about 2 minutes so I can get an extra nice sear on that. And I've got my handy dandy grease splatter mesh wrap. So I'm just going to place that over the pan so I don't cover my whole stove in grease splatter. And I turn the heat down just a bit because I don't want it to super burn. And just as we're counting down to the last 30 seconds, I usually go ahead and take off the grease rack, grease splatter spray thing. And I want to see how things are going here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and flip it because that pan was pretty hot. So look at that. Ooh, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and flip it. Ooh, that wasn't a good landing. And I'm going to go ahead and clear the timer and throw it on for another 2 minutes. And this ribeye is unsalted, but I'm quite sure that it's going to taste really good because it sure smells really good. Let's go ahead and cover that up again while we wait for our second side sear. And as the second side 2-minute sear is starting to come down to about 30 seconds, I usually go in and turn down the heat a bit. So, oh, that's too low. Oh, that's off. And I'm going to go just to about there. And then I'm going to go ahead and flip the meat again. So back to side 1. Because I want to cook it, do a little slow cooking now. So after the sear can get cooked through a little bit more to the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the timer on again. I'm going to do it for 2 minutes aside because I like my meat pretty much medium to medium rare. And I'll just talk to you while my meat is cooking, but I am so excited. Every single time I cook a ribeye, while the room is smelling up with that tasty ribeye aroma. It never gets old. So today's day 85 of my ribeye only diet. So I'm eating unsalted Costco Prime fatty ribeye every single day. I usually start out the day with some of the trimmings from the ribeye, the fat trimmings, and I usually air fry them, and I eat those in the morning, and then later in the day, it could be 3 or 4 hours later, it could be 6 hours later, depending on how my day is going. I usually cook up the actual ribeye steak and eat that. And I only eat as much as I feel like I need to eat. A lot of times I eat less than a steak because I'm not really that hungry once I've started the day off with that beef fat. So the 2-minute timer is counting down on that second side. And I am going to go ahead and flip it again back to side 2. And I'm going to do the final 2 minutes on side 2. Still on that lower cooking temp. And while side 2 is cooking, I'm just going to go ahead and say that I did have an invitation to go over for a family Easter dinner tonight. And I thought about it and I realized that I'd rather stay home and eat my ribeye. So that just shows how good the ribeye is, because it really beats an Easter gourmet dinner at my cousin's house, where, you know, her husband is a gourmet chef and the food is excellent. And it wasn't this year because I was afraid of being tempted by the non-carnivore foods. It was actually because I felt like I'd rather just stay home and eat my ribeye, and I know I'll be the happiest with that. So the timer just went off on side 2. So all in all, that took about, 8 minutes? 2 minutes with a sear per side, plus 2 minutes of a slow cook per side. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the stove. And it's still sizzling. So I usually do try to take it out of the pan so it doesn't get overcooked. I like my meat pretty rare. So I'm really pretty excited about eating this ribeye here. So let's go ahead and see how it turned out. It's very fatty and delicious looking. Extremely tender. So let's go ahead and cut it up into chunks and see how good it came out. Seems pretty nice. It does not seem to be overcooked. It's extremely tender. Actually, it looks like it's a little bit on the rare side. Almost a little bit raw on this end, which is okay. I usually, if it ends up raw like this, I just eat it anyway, because I'm starting to like my meat more and more rare as my carnivore journey goes on. So as I said, today's day 85 of eating ribeye only, and I'm drinking water, not adding salt, and we just completed 21 months on carnivore, so we're really close to 2 years. And this looks pretty darn delicious. The perfect Easter dinner for one. So let's take a look. I'm going to show you a couple pieces here. I usually do eat with my fingers. I don't know why, since I've gone carnivore, I really like that. So you can see it's pretty nice. It's got a pretty decent sear. I probably could have seared it a little bit more, but it does look pretty tender on the inside. It's delicious. This is definitely some pretty delicious meat. And we did try to go to the Costco choice cut, but we just didn't like it. It wasn't quite marbled enough. It wasn't as tender or fatty. This is just top notch. People say, oh, maybe you should eat grass-fed, but we tried grass-fed. We didn't really like it. We didn't like the taste. It was too lean. But this Costco Prime ribeye, it's just super tender. And it costs a little bit over $11 a pound if you buy it untrimmed. But it's totally worth it, because if this is all you're eating, and I just cut up one 1-inch thick steak here off of that giant roast, and I typically eat less than this. This is a lot of meat, so I'm probably gonna only eat about maybe half to 2/3 at most on a day when I'm really hungry. And so that means I'm probably eating for less than $10 a day. Since I'm not eating anything else, I don't drink coffee, I don't drink any beverages other than, well, I do have Pellegrino. But I'm not doing eggs or butter or bacon or any of those other things I was doing on Carnivore. So I really am not spending much other than, and it's really easy. I just have to go into Costco, go up, if it's not out on a display, I just go ahead and knock on the butcher window, ask for one prime untrimmed ribeye roast, and then I'm out of there. You go to the self-checkout and you're out of there in less than 5 minutes. So I do find that there's a lot of food freedom in just eating ribeye. That's not for everyone, of course, and people do say ribeye is extremely expensive, which I understand. It's not for everyone, and not everybody likes the taste and texture of steak. But for me, I've really found that this is my perfect fuel. It has the extra fat because it's untrimmed, and so like I said, I'll cut that up and freeze it, and then I cook it in the air fryer from frozen in strips in the morning, and then I eat that crunchy, delicious fat to start my day off right. And so it's actually really late for me to be eating today, but I did feel a little hungrier, and it's Easter, so I thought, why not make another steak and just eat it, and then whatever I don't eat, I'll just end up putting it in the fridge. I don't even cover my meat with saran wrap anymore. I don't put it in a Ziploc bag. I just throw it on a plate and throw it in the fridge. And sometimes I even just throw it in the fridge on the cutting board exactly as I end up eating it. So I don't really use many dishes. I don't use much water. I don't create much waste because I'm not really using those styrofoam packages that the steaks come in anymore. So really I'm generating very little trash, and I also don't poop a lot anymore because my body uses up all of this fuel. So I hardly ever poop. Sorry, I'm talking about poop while I'm eating, but I hardly ever poop, and I also don't use much toilet paper because I got a bidet sprayer. So I'm pooping less, using less toilet paper, creating less waste. I have a lot of time freedom because this is so satiating that I basically am not going to be hungry again, and then I end up fasting inadvertently for anywhere from 12 to 20 hours, just depending on how hungry I am and what my busy day is like. You know, some days I end up, waiting till 20 to 25 hours to eat just because I'm busy. But like I said, this is the optimum fuel for me. And so when people ask me what I eat in a week or what I eat in a day, this is it. It's the fat, and it's the actual steak part of the untrimmed ribeye roast. And I'm just gonna eat a little bit more here and just say that this is unsalted. So a lot of people think, oh, you really need to have salt on your meat to make it taste good. But Coach Raymond Nazon told me that over time your taste buds would change, especially when you're eating ribeye only. And in fact, now the meat tastes salty to me. It doesn't actually taste unsalted. Occasionally, if I go over to Aaron's house, he does cook with a little bit of Redmond real salt, and it does taste extra delicious. But I do find that I will kind of overeat or eat more when the ribeye is salted, and then I end up super dehydrated at night and really parched, and I end up drinking more, and then I have to get up and go to the bathroom more. So I do think for myself, when I'm on my own, I like to eat the ribeye unsalted because it actually reveals the flavor of the meat more, and it actually tastes salty on its own. So if you look, beef actually does have sodium in it, so it's not like you actually need to salt it to increase the flavor. And then your taste buds change and you end up actually not having to salt. And then if you do taste something salty, it tastes really salty. So I don't think it matters really one way or the other, but if you do want to sort of get in touch with how hungry you really are, it is a good idea to not salt too much because you tend to overeat if the steak tastes that much more delicious. Yeah, this meat is really, really good. It's really good. It's ultra tender. It's just really velvety, and it does taste like it has salt. And I usually eat all of the tendony pieces, all of as much fat as I can eat in the rendered state. I don't like it totally gloppy, but I will eat all of the kind of gristly cartilage type pieces.
And then, like I said, I'm eating the fat in the morning. So I'm pretty much eating that entire rib roast, and nothing goes to waste.
So thank you for joining me for my solo Easter dinner. Dinner for one, ribeye, and a special shout out to Steak and Butter Gal, Bella, my Asian carnivore little sister. Well, I guess I should call her big sister since she's like 5 inches taller than me. But thank you for encouraging me to do my first What I Eat in a Day and a Week video. And also a special shout out to Coach Raymond Nazon, who encouraged me to do the Ribeye Challenge, which I'm 85 days into it and I love it.